Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Ariana from Crafting Happiness, and today I'm going to show you how to change colors in corner to corner crochet, how to read C2C graph, how to minimize your ends, and I'll also show you a few tips and tricks on how to keep your yarn organized, how to carry your yarn over without cutting it, and how to make your work look neat and clean. So first thing you need to know when crocheting corner to corner is what exactly you are going to crochet. So you will need a corner to corner graph like this one. You can make your own. I made mine. There is a website, a free website called Stitch Fiddle. I'll put the link in the description. And you can also upload a picture there and turn it into a C2C graph, or you can just draw your own. I drew mine for this tutorial. You can also use there are loads and lots of free tutorials and free patterns online. You can just download the graphs from there. So first thing you need is a graph. Then you need to know how to increase and decrease in corner to corner crochet. I already made a tutorial about it. You'll find a video in the description of this video, or you can find it on my account, on my channel. So I already started, as you can see here, I started from the left bottom corner. To mark the front part, I use a stitch marker, and this will help you as you turn your work back and forth. You'll know exactly which way is facing, because sometimes it's really confusing. So if you don't know how to increase and decrease, watch my previous video and then come back to this one. And now we will continue. I'll show you how to read a graph. As you can see, to keep your yarn organized when you don't use it, I just use regular clothespins, and then I just roll the yarn around it. And these are great because you can just clip them to your work, and you can turn your work around and your yarn stays neatly organized, and then you won't have any tangles. So now let's continue. We will be doing, as you can see, the stitch marker is on this side, so that means we will be starting from this side up. And as you work, you just mark the squares that you've done. So you can see in the next row, you will have to do 1, 2, 3 squares in the light color. Mine is beige. Also, it's a great tip to keep your work really tight. As you can see, there's no holes in it. It's all tight and neat. I use the 5 and 2 technique, which means when you increase, you use 5 chains, and then as you make your regular squares, you chain 2. You usually, in regular crochet, you usually make 3 chains. That counts as a double crochet. In C2C, I make 2 because it makes the work tighter, and it looks much better. So chain 3 and double crochet in a 3rd chain from the hook, and double crochet in the next 2 remaining chains. And now slip stitch it to the next square and make 3 C2C squares in total. Okay, so as you see, I chain 2. This counts as a double crochet. You can choose to chain 3. I found it that it keeps the work looking much neater, so yeah. So on your third square, it's time to change colors according to the graph. So you make, let me mark them. You made your 3 squares. It's now time to switch to orange and make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares in orange. At this point you will have to change colors, and I'll show you how. On your last square, don't finish it completely, just stop right before you yarn over and pull through, and then pick up the color you're changing, insert your hook in a space like you'll usually do, grab your yarn and pull it through. It's okay to be a little bit tighter because once your work continues it will loosen up a bit, and then pull it through all the loops on your hook, just like that. And now just chain 2, and this is how you change colors. I think I lost my orange. Alright, so that's my orange. And now as you change colors, continue to make 3 double crochet stitches in the space below, and this is how you change colors. And now with the unused yarn, just attach it to your work, clip it to your work like that, and it will stay neat on that side. And now we will have to make, like I said, 6. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've done 1, so we'll do 5 more. I'll pause the video, and once I reach the other side, I'll show you how to change colors again. Okay, so I'm back. I have made the 6 orange squares, and now it's time to change colors back to brown. And as you can see, I stopped right before I completed the last double crochet. So right before you yarn over and pull through, stop and make your color change. And for that, you have to move this yarn from the bottom of the square to the top of the square. And the way I've seen it done in many places is to insert your hook through the top loop, yarn over and pull the yarn, and then pull it through both orange loops. But then you will see the transition right here on this side. I don't really like that. You can see it if you really look, and I don't like that, especially when you have a lot of color changes. You'll have a lot of squares with this transition. So the way I do it is take my hook of the orange loops and a slip stitch through all these 4 stitches here and bring the yarn to the top of the square. So I insert my hook on through the bottom stitch, pull the yarn through, and then go to the next stitch, pull the yarn through both, do the same with the next one, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook, And then the last one, the fourth one, will be through the top chain you made. So remember, at the beginning of each square you chain 2, that counts as a double crochet. Insert your hook on the top chain and pull the yarn through and through the loop on your hook, and you can see the yarn transition. It's invisible. You basically don't see it. Then go back to your orange loops, insert your hook through them, insert your hook through the brown one and pull through, and that is your color change, and you can't see it from any side. And now, once you've done that, continue making the last 4. So I already filled it in. So it's this last 4. What I do is right before I make them, I mark them on the chart, so I know how many I need to make. So on this side is 1, 2, 3, 4 brown squares. So chain 2, that counts as the first double crochet, and then make 3 more in the chain space below. Join it to the next square and keep repeating that. And then once I finish this row, I will show you how you can carry the yarn over without having to cut it, and that will drastically minimize your ends. And then you'll have very little work to do and clean up to do afterwards. So let me do the last square. Okay, so this is the end. Make sure you organize your yarn that you don't use. It is orange, you finish with it, just clip it on, and you can move your work and your ends will not be tangled, which is great. So as you can see, on this side you have the stitch marker, and every time you sit on this side, you know your work is right. So the square at the top is the square at the top here. When you turn around and you continue on the other side, the stitch marker is on the back, and even though it looks like you'll be working from the bottom up, you're actually not. You're actually working from the top backwards. So that's why you need to mark one side to know that when the stitch marker is in front, you work the right way, and when the stitch marker is on the bottom, on the other side, even though it looks like you'll be working from bottom upwards, you're actually going from top downwards. I hope this makes sense to you. I made many mistakes before I realized I have to mark one side, and then I won't get confused anymore. Okay, so let's continue. Let me show you how I do transition from one color to another when it's a few squares down. So let's say it's not in a pattern, but let's say you will have to create an orange square 3 squares down. What we will normally do is cut the yarn, join it back here and continue up, but the way I do it to minimize ends is roughly calculate how much yarn I need to go around each of the square, just roughly. Don't make it too loose. It's better to be tighter than looser. So just roughly you learn after a few tries how much yarn you need, and then crochet backwards on it with the same color. So let me do a couple of squares in brown, just to bring the yarn a little bit closer. So make your 5s, double crochet in a third and in each of the 2 remaining chains. All right, join it here, chain 2, counts as the first double crochet, make 3 more double crochet in a space below. All right, so don't finish it. Right, and now we will continue from here with orange. So roughly calculate how much yarn you need. Insert your hook as usual in a space and pull the orange yarn through, just like that, and then through the loops on a hook. And now just slip stitch through, slip stitch through. Try to make it a bit looser. It needs to be loose enough to go around. And then chain 2. That's your first double crochet. And then make as usual, crochet over the yarn and make your double crochet stitches as usual. Okay, so there you are. You're crocheting over the yarn, and now when it's time to join the yarn, do it as usual. Insert your hook, slip stitch, and you can see the yarn transition here, but you can barely see if you really look, because it just blends in and it just looks like it's part of the square. And now we will crochet over this one as well. Chain 2, your first double crochet, 3 double crochet stitches in the space, and again it's time to join it up to the next square. So slip stitch, and again you can see the yarn, barely see the yarn. And your last one, chain 2, 3 double crochet in a space to create the C2C square, and then join it up. And there it is. You can barely see the yarn, maybe here a little bit at the end, depends how tight you're working it up. Just loosen it up, but basically you can't see it, and you have no ends. And that's how you minimize your ends. So I've showed you how to do color changes both ways, how to minimize your ends, how to make sure you're working on the right side, how to keep your yarn organized with Clothespin, and how to read a graph. I'll be uploading this graph to my website, the pattern, in case you want to do it. Halloween's around the corner. This will do a great blanket. Happy pumpkins. I hope you found my tutorial easy to follow. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on social media for more free tutorials like this one. Happy crocheting!